Okay, there we go. All right, good afternoon, everybody, or it could be morning. I'm not sure where everybody is, but it's 1 p.m. my time central. So where is everybody based?
North Carolina.
Okay, so you're
San
2
Diego,
o'clock.
California.
Okay, so you're that 2 hours behind, I believe, Joe. So that's 11 a.m. for you.
Yes.
Shakira?
Alabama.
Alabama, all right, 2 on central as well. So perfect. All right, good. Okay, so I've got everybody for 2 hours today again. So thanks for taking the time. It may or may not take that long. It's usually, if we run into the 2 hour window, is because we've got a larger group. So with it being a bit more of a compressed group, we should be fine. So I'm going to share my screen. I just need you to tell me if you can see it. Can you see everything on my screen?
Sir.
Okay, all right, let's get going. So, I know you know who I am, but again, my name is Paul Ratcliffe. I'm the CEO of PRC Group Services. Robin's not with us today. Unfortunately, he's still recovering from his surgery, but he'll be back tomorrow. So, welcome everybody. Huge welcome to the team. We're really excited. We've got some really good momentum going in the business, so we're just really excited to get you guys on board. And what we're actually seeing now is people are accelerating faster and faster as they come online. So we're hoping we'll get you through this training. You don't have to wait till the end of the training to get yourself going. It's really down to your comfort zone. So all I ask is that this is interactive. Please don't have me talking for 2 hours and you not saying anything, because believe me, I can put you to sleep. So we're going to make it interactive. There'll be a couple of questions where you can hop in, and we will have a Q&A session at the end. So there's two different slide decks today. One is the welcome, which we're going to go through now, and then the other one is company and industry overview. But I'll walk through what we're going to go through this week. So purpose of onboarding today, just want to get a clear understanding of the onboarding process, what to expect, understand the management support so you can get the guidance you need. The point on that for you all is that we are here for you. I said that during the original presentation that you guys attended, and we really mean it. We work together. You work with us. You're not working for us, and we're here for you to support you. So morning, noon, and night. If you've got questions, hopefully you'll be having lots of clients coming to you with lots of questions and lots of contracts, and we can talk through them. We're going to go through the compensation structure today, and then an overview of the training. It doesn't say in here, including salary. This is a slide deck that we had when we were putting together for salaried recruiters that were coming on board. So obviously this is not a salary position, it's commission only, but I think you understand that anyway. Key takeaways, just gain clarity. Please ask questions. If you're not sure of anything, just let me know. Just throw your hand up or just jump in. I'm not going to be offended at all. Understand how to leverage us. Get understanding of your earning potential, and understand how and where to get knowledge from and how to use it. So the overview of the training program for the week ahead. This is over 5 days, but we've compressed it down to 4 now because the day 5 is really optional for you guys, and we can add that on to day 4 if we need to. So today you'll get the onboarding and company industry overview. Tomorrow will be sales, lead gen and client acquisition. Then we'll talk about on day 3, excuse me, about staffing industry, pricing structures, client acquisition, roadmaps, and then how to close deals, and then the account management piece, which is the role within your role, as we call it. And then again, if we need to, we'll go into the practical training. If you do need one-on-one, if you prefer to work one-on-one with that, we can do that as well. You don't need to do it in a group session. Like I said, just keep understanding that we're here for you. So you feed us back what you need, and we will get it for you. Okay, onboarding blueprint. I'm going to send you this document at the end of today to all 3 of you. It just breaks down our day-to-day activities, and it's also somewhere where you can look at and tick off or not. If you look at it and say, I don't remember that piece, or I've got questions on it, it's somewhere going back and just checking that you've done it. We can always and anytime run through these slide decks as well. It's not just a one size fits all today. If you need us to run through it again in a couple of weeks' time, we're more than happy to do that. We want to understand where your milestones are and your checkpoints and what your goals are. And then obviously the resources and the support. So I'll provide that to you, like I said, at the end of today. Pre-training commitment. We're not going to fill this out today, but what I'd like to understand is that hopefully that we've got your commitment. That's not for us. That is for you guys. The more committed you are, the quicker you're going to get to earning money. So we just want to make sure that we've got an understanding of mission and values and vision. You understand what they are. We're going to ask you to confirm your commitment to core principles. That's probably the most important part of anything that we're doing, is for everybody to mirror what we've said from our mission, vision and core values, because that's what drives the company forward. And then we can talk about, as we go through the week, an overview of income and, you know, the path of accountability that you need. Do you need to talk to us on a daily basis? Some people do it, you know, every single day and then ease off as the weeks go. Some people just want to stick with us and they want to stay on the sales calls on a daily basis. And we really want to know where you want to end up. What's your minimum quota, and start thinking about these numbers in terms of dollar values in annual income. What do you want to achieve? What will be the minimum value that this is worth for you before you say, look, guys, sorry, this is not working out for me? Is that 50,000? Is that 70? Some people do this on the side. Some people want to go full time. If you want to be in the top 20%, then we can work from your minimum quota and start working upwards. And then there's a top 5 and a top 1% path. Top 1% path is really significant income. But I do want you to understand that it is achievable. I've done it, and I've got several other people that have done it. This is not something that we're just making up as we're going along. We've got people that have actually achieved some serious income in this business. And we'd love for you to get there as well. So, but like I said, I think you have to start with what's your minimum, and then how much are you willing to work for that? How many hours are you looking to put into this? So, commitment to accountability really is for you guys to say, what am I going to hold myself accountable, and then what do you need from me or Robin? Robin tends to step in once I've done all of the onboarding. He takes over the sales, but I'll be in the background. I'll be on a lot of the calls. So does anybody have any ideas of minimum kind of quota as to what you would want to achieve? And, you know, and the second question to that really is, you know, do you intend to work full-time, part-time, or is this a kind of a side hustle, come in and go as you please? What's everybody's thoughts on that? So let's start with Jerry, because you're top of my screen.
So you want to know where I want to be and when?
Yep.
Well,
What's the minimum? What's the minimum you'd want to earn, Jerry?
the minimum I want to earn would be 250.
250. Okay. Now, what would be a number that would absolutely light your fire if you were in the top 1%? What do you think the top
Yeah.
one?
What do you think is well, we'll talk about it later, but yeah, I'm sure it's going to take some time to get there, but it's all right. Anything else you want to know from me?
Are you working full time on this or part?
Well, I think I'm gonna have to work probably more than full time to get there, huh?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to hit 250 in a year, you're gonna have to. I'll say that we've had people that have earned 200K and they've worked, I think, is part time, you know, 25, 30 hours a week,
Yeah.
and they've drifted down because they've landed on a really good client, and the client's been pumping us with vacancies, so it's possible. It's just very hard to say.
It's probably a high mark, but you know, if I don't come in there, I'll come in, you know, at 200 or you know, to 150. It's not bad.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Robert. What about you, sir?
I'm gonna have to, I guess, not as ambitious as Jerry, honestly.
That's okay.
I'm gonna be around anywhere between 90 to 130.
Okay.
I'm gonna treat it full time for now, and I'm only gonna say full time for now because I am still trying to get something with my marketing and stuff like that. But for now, I will be treating it as if it's a full-time.
Yeah, those are good goals. I think 90 to 130 is extremely realistic, for sure. What about you, Shakira?
My minimum would be 5,000, and something that would wow me would be 15.
Is that per month?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so 5K to 15K a month. Okay, and then are you looking at this from a full-time perspective, or are you doing it as a part-time or more of a side hustle?
I would want to do full time.
Full-time. Well, 5 to 15K is extremely, it's not going to happen on day one, but it's very, very achievable. We've got people that have done that in the first month. They've gone way past 15K. So
Okay.
it's something that's it's very achievable. So these numbers can fluctuate. I just want to get an idea of where everybody is. So as we start moving along, we move through, you'll start seeing them. Once you see the numbers, you'll start to understand just how quickly this can ramp up. So thank you for that. Okay, support and direction from us. We're going to be doing most of this again is Robin who kind of leads the sales effort. So Robin will be doing regular sales team meetings. He's still working on a schedule because we got a lot. I think we said this on the presentation. We got a lot of people that came forward and filled the forms out. So we're still working. What we don't want to get into is a huge group of people, and the sales meetings don't mean anything to anybody, and you just turn up and listen and you go away. We want everyone to be, it's a very collaborative environment. We want you to feel part of the team, part of the family. And we also want you to come on because you need feedback or you'd like direct feedback. And you know, if it's working well for you, then share that best practice for everybody else. Okay. There's so much money in this industry and there's so much to go around. It is absolutely crazy. And I know people have got a lot of questions around the tariffs. I was in Canada last week, a staffing summit, and there's lots of questions around the tariffs and the impact on the tariffs and people's stocks and shares and businesses. All I can say to you is it's going to turn in a very, very near future. It's not going to go anywhere now, and when it turns, we're going to have such a shortage of talent that we're going to have people scrambling. You're going to have people like clients clambering, which means you can obviously adjust your pricing, adjust your payment terms, and all of that stuff. So we've got a really, really good future ahead of us. We also offer one-on-one meetings if you want some more personalized guidance. We can meet with you. Robin will do that anyway. He'll offer that, but it's up to you if you want to take those on. And just remember that we're trying to focus on growth. And what I mean by that is not the dollar value. The dollar value will come with it. What I mean by focusing on growth is you as individuals growing, helping you overcome challenges and blockages or rejections. We're gonna coach you through all of that stuff, right? Because everybody's got challenges. I've got challenges. Robin does. We all do. We want you to share those with us. Don't sit in silence. Like I said, we're here to work with you. You're not working for us. So treat us like your team members, like you would talk to anybody. And then we've got lots of different ways to communicate. This is just a very small sample. We've got our CRM, which is a client relationship management system, which is Pipedrive. We've got Teams, Slack, text message, Telegram, WhatsApp. The list just goes on and on and on. What is your preferred method of communication? What's the kind of the quickest and fastest for you guys? Jerry, let me ask you again. What's your best form of communication?
I like the phone and I like the Zoom. Of course, texting is fine as well. If it's doesn't need to meet in face to face. Email, but I think text, phone, text, and then email in that order.
Perfect. Okay, Robert, what about you?
Yeah, I have to say the same. Phone, text message, email. If meetings through Zoom would be fine as well. Either way.
All right. Shakira?
Yeah, phone, message, email, and I'm familiar with Teams too.
just like to ask, as some people say, I like Snapchat, and we get some very weird and different ways of communicating, but we have it all. So, okay, all right. So let's look at a quick overview of the compensation structure. So again, it's commission-based pay. It is based on performance. That performance being that we get a role from the client, the recruiters fill the roles, and then we invoice whatever that service, or there's HR consulting involved. But we're basing this particular page is on a very basic standard template of placing an individual at a company for a one-time fee. So fees are charged to our clients for, in this case, our recruiting services, and we offer you 25% of the total value. We do have incremental values that go up on certain barriers, which we'll share with you as we move along. But just to kind of get you off, you can guarantee you get 25% of the invoice value. So an example being, if we invoice a client $50,000, the commission on that will be $12,500. So invoices to clients can be anything from 10 to 12,000, which is normally like lots of the same positions. We've got junior salespeople. There's one of our guys that's bringing in probably 100 vacancies of the same person. Those will be $10,000 to $12,000 invoices, and he'll be getting 2,500 from the 10,000. But he'll be getting it 100 times in a matter of a month and a half. So there's volume plays, and then there's big quality plays and everything in between. So again, looking at what your target is, we talked about your minimum. Do you have a maximum? And I want to talk to you about that in a second. We'll just jump back to that because it's tied into mindset. The payroll processes will pay you within 3 business days following receipt of funds from your client. 2 things in there. One is that we don't wait weekly. We don't wait till the end of the month unless you tell us. We do have one person that prefers to be paid at the end of the month. It just helps with the way that she does her bills and things. But if we get paid on a Monday, 3 business days later, which will be the Thursday, the money will be in your account. So we have to pay out daily on our side. So like I said, it's just a 3-day. And the only reason it's 3 days in between is just that when they pay, sometimes it takes 3 days to clear. Going back to the left there on the potential earning breakdown, we talked about what your target is. Does anybody have a maximum? And the reason that I ask that is tied into mindset, and it's something that I had to get over a couple of times in my career, but there was one time in particular that I really struggled with. I just could not see beyond a certain number. I couldn't fathom that it could actually happen. But I have a mentor that got me through it, and we've continued to smash that. So does anybody have what I would say a limited mindset? Most people do. But what would you say would be the maximum that you think you could earn in this industry? Anybody have any ideas? About you, Jerry?
I don't know what the maximum is, what I could earn.
If I said to you, you could earn $1 million, does that feel achievable?
Yes.
About 2 million.
If I could do 1 million, I could do 2.
Okay, good. That's a good open mindset. About you, Robert?
I'd say $1 million, realistically.
Yeah. Okay. Shakira?
I wouldn't want to put a cap on it.
Great mindset. I love it. Okay, that's great to hear. When I was at the staffing summit last week, I talked a lot about what that was going to look like from a mindset perspective, and we all have limitations in our mindset, especially when things are rolling, and we're going to have ups and downs. But just have those numbers, have those big numbers, those big dreams. There's nothing wrong with dreaming big. If you've got a small target and a small mindset, that's the maximum that you're going to achieve. So, and if you need help on that as well, that's another thing that we do, is we can do coaching around that, and to help you overcome any blockages. A couple of case studies. So this was a gentleman that joined us. I've put less than 1 year. I think it was about 5 or 6 months in staffing. He'd not had a very good experience. But we got him on board. He followed the training and he got really engaged and he leaned on us. The bit here that we really want to emphasize is he leaned on us and focused on the pain points of the client. He found a mid-sized company that was struggling to hire a senior salesperson. He pitched an an exclusive search, which is something we'll talk about a bit further on. And we managed the process, got him the top candidates. Basically, we ended up placing 2 instead of 1. So the company ended up paying 72,000 in fees for the hires, and then he took home 18,000 for those 2 positions. Once those positions are with us, then we get recruiters involved to help find the people to fill the roles. So you can do both sides. You can do sales and recruiting, so then you get 50% of the fees. But if you haven't done recruitment before, that could be quite challenging. So I think the key takeaways here is he took ownership and engaged with the purpose of adding real value. So rather than focusing on, client A, give me X amount of money, or I need to earn this, he really focused on the value add that we bring. We manage the hiring process and everybody wins. I think I said that in the triangle, which is going to come up in the next set of slides. It's just as important for the client to win as it is for us, as it is for the candidate. And if you've got all of those 3 equal amounts in your mind, then it's a winning formula. It wins every single time. So this was the first one. This was very recent. And then this was a really good one. It was a lady that joined us. Very strong background in sales, but absolutely no staffing experience. But she was very good at building relationships with managers. She was getting pushed away when she first started knocking on the door, but she just kept pushing and kept leaning on us, kept coming and saying, they've said this, and we kept getting over the objections. And she won a contract to fill a couple of roles. We ended up placing 4 people, and then placements generated 128,000 in fees. 25% came out to over 31,000 in her pocket. And I think we did this in about 6 weeks from what I remember. So again, the keys here, persistence, and that just continuing on and not taking no for an answer, not being a pest. So the difference between being persistent and being a pest, but just keeping driving that value and then being there when they pick up the phone when they're in trouble. And that client is now a repeat business, as I said on the original presentation. These are repeat client business models. So once you've got this, it doesn't mean that the lights go out and you have to start all over again. You build and build and build from there, and that's how you earn serious money. It's because once you've got a client on board and they're just calling in, they'll call, hey, Robert, I need something else. Hey, Robert, I need something else. Hey, Robert, I need something. It just happens all year long. And then you add another client and then another client, and it just starts building and building. So in addition to that, she also picked up 2 other key clients in that same space because we were recruiting from another business because we have to have pools of candidates. And those came to us and said, please stop recruiting our best people. Why don't you come and recruit for us as well? So she got 3 clients out of this in a matter of 3 or 4 months. And then these fees came in within 2 months. So really good case studies. And this happens on a regular basis. Yeah, these are not one-offs or lucky shots, or these are happening all the time. So it's very, very doable. Okay, we're going to have a Q&A session in a second. But has everybody sent in their paperwork into Robin? Has everybody done, or does anybody have any questions on the paperwork while we've got this on the page?
No, but I do have to send in mine.
You have to send it in, Shakira? Okay, all right. If you can, do you have any questions on it?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. Robert, anything from you, sir?
No, I submitted everything. I'm right.
Okay. Jerry, you're all good?
I had a question. Should I go under my LLC?
Say that again. Sorry.
So I have an LLC
Yeah.
for my carpet cleaning business. Can I use that and go?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I can do that on this.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all you know.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
It's all filled out except for that one line. So I'll send it.
Yeah, no problem. Okay. All right. Questions, and hopefully I'll have the answers. Obviously, it's a very quick, fast forward version of our welcome on board. But any questions spring to mind on there? Anything at all from any of the slides that we've just shown?
I have one, or I guess it's a two-part question. More so, what's the average contracts that you guys give out to, I guess, your sales reps? What's the average closing on those for each one, whether it's experience level or non-experience level, and what's the average payouts for those?
Okay, so let's start with the first one, Robert. So when you said are you talking how many clients do we give out to people?
Yeah, how many
Leads?
jobs are you giving out for people to reach out on average? I know it's
Okay,
based on how many I guess you would give someone 10 or 11 jobs to try to recruit people for, and I guess what's the average? Say
so
that.
there's two sides to this. There's the sales side, which is where we are now, and then there's the recruitment side. Okay, and those two, you can be both. So the first one is the sales part, which is the leads. So we will give you leads, hot leads of companies that we know are hiring. You still have to do a tiny bit of research just to make sure you familiarize yourself with the companies. The number of those leads is purely dependent on two things. One is you and your capability and what you need. We can give you hundreds, or we can give you 5 or 10. And then obviously the amount of time that you can put into that. There's no point in giving you 100 leads, and if you're only going to do an hour a day, So we want you to be earning, but there needs to be an F in there. So average. And I think the third part is the industry is the other part. Average probably 10 to 20 a day lead, something like that. But most people don't. I don't know anybody that's blazing through those and getting nothing from them, because they're going to come across someone that's going to say, yeah, let's talk more. And that kind of grinds to the halt of calling anybody else because you want to get your contract in place, right? So I think if we average between, say 10 a day will be the average, where you're going to see a success rate. And then closing, that's a difficult one on industries, but you should be closing at least a third. You should be getting 3 contracts out of 10 leads. There's no reason why you can't do that, but I think the closing rate is higher. I think the closing rate is probably closer to 50%, where you're getting a contract in place and you're getting, they start giving you jobs.
What's the average time frame on those?
To get a contract in place?
I guess just start to finish. What would you say the average time?
Think so. First, you'll get your leads, and you'll start calling or emailing. You'll start your sales cycle. You should be getting responses, within a few days or two, and you'll be able to see very quickly if they're interested or not.
Gotcha.
Let's say you move on to an interested party, so you'll have and these are all basic contracts in place, right? They're for permanent recruitment. If it's contract recruitment, it's a little different because there's liabilities and insurances that we have to talk about, so there's legal things. So we're sticking with perm for the time being. You should have a contract in place within a matter of a few days after that, and then the role comes in. Once the role comes in, you've obviously got, most of the time, you've got a 2-week notice period for your candidates that would want, if they're moving jobs, they'd want to give 2 weeks notice. So I would imagine the whole process start to finish 4 to 6 weeks for the whole thing. The only thing that will make that faster and slower, faster first, is like what one of the gentlemen brought, that high volume. They need it right now. They're just like, we've got to go, just give me the contract, let's get moving. That happened within a day, and we were putting people in for interview within 2 days thereafter, and we were starting to place people within a week. It can happen really fast. The slower part of it is if it gets to more senior level. So if you pick up a sales director, for example, or a production manager, those are a little bit more difficult to fill. because it's a much higher quality. It's very high salary. You know, those salaries will be $200,000 to $300,000 that will charge a client 25% fees on. That can take, you know, 6 to 8 weeks plus, depending on the seniority, the location, and the industry.
Gotcha. Are we getting both the leads and I guess the prospective people that are looking for the position, or is that our job to go look for those individuals?
We've got recruiters in the background that find the individuals that are constantly churning databases that we have. Like I
So
said,
we'll get, so we'll basically get both then.
You can be both. The challenge when you're both, Robert, is that your sales comes to a grinding halt, because then you have to find people and you've got to start churning the recruitment cycle. If you haven't done recruitment before, it can be it's a challenging job.
Yeah, I have a marketing background. That's why it's a little different for me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but you can do both sides. Yeah, we've got people that do both sides. We've got several people that do both sides because they want both because the recruiters get the same 25% fees as well for finding the people and placing them.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Jerry, you had your hand up?
Yeah. So what's the what's the minimum that I have to do to keep my seat? I mean,
To keep a seat with us?
Yeah.
There is no minimum. You're
Really?
on board with us. We have people that come and earn money and disappear for a couple of months, and we have people that go at it full time and never leave us alone.
Yeah, most of my places would be if you don't do something, the 86 year. So that's refreshing.
Yeah, that's really good to know.
We're not here to fire you because you're underperforming. That's what we're trying to develop here with PRC, is we're trying to be different than everybody else. If we put you publicly on trial in front of everyone and say, "Oh, Jerry, you've not performed again," it's what a lot of recruitment agencies do. I've been through it myself several times. And sorry, you're gonna have to go, or you just end up disappearing. You know, that's how are you ever going to grow from there? You know,
It happens all the time in our industry too, as well. It's really sad.
Yeah. If you said to me, Jerry, look, Paul, I'm putting all of the time and effort in, I'm making the calls, I'm sending the emails, I'm doing what you told me to do, and it's still not working, then we will work alongside you until you get it right. And if that takes 5 years, if you've got 5 years, I've got 5 years. We're not going anywhere. We're going to make you successful. Ultimately, what we want, our goal, is for you to have your own, say, mini but very large volume dollar business that you can take and go off and do on your own. We want to expand into cities that we've talked about the career paths, and you can choose to stay with us or you can choose to do it yourself. Our worst case scenario is that me and Robin are sitting in Houston. We don't have anybody that works for us anymore, but we've got a network of trained people that have all gone into their own individual niches, scattered all around the country, and we can call on them and say, Jerry's an expert in manufacturing, Robert's an expert in marketing. So if we get a marketing client and we don't cover marketing, we can hand that vacancy to you, Robert. And you know that we do salespeople. If somebody comes and says, hey, Robert, I've got to get a sales director on board. Yeah, I don't really do that, but Paul and Robin do. That's the absolute worst case scenario that we've got. Is you've all come through PRC, you've all made good money, you've built your own businesses, you're off and running, and we're all referring business to us. That's the absolute worst case scenario for us, you know, or the best case scenario. So yeah, we don't berate people for getting it wrong. We want to make you successful. We want to build your confidence. We want to give you a really strong future, and you know, hopefully you'll choose to stay with us forever and a day, and you'll want to become a manager, a team leader, or even a regional person, or even a vice president. You know, we need people to run the business for us. We can't do this forever. You know, we're trying to grow the business. The sky's the limit.
So you're telling me I found that one place that is gonna, it's perfect, really. I mean, it's pretty amazing, really.
That's what we're trying to build, Joe. I think I said it on the presentation. I was trying to, and maybe I need to emphasize that, for future is, I've taken everything that's happened to me personally, both good and bad, and I've gotten rid of all the bad stuff, And I've looked at the good stuff and I've doubled down on everything that we possibly can to give everyone the best possible chance. So I was given an opportunity. Robin was given an opportunity way back when, and as he said on his presentation many times, it's time for us to pay that forward. That's it. There's no hidden agendas here at all. We just want everyone around us to be super successful. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all.
It's just very, very strange in this day and age, and that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Paul, what's the landscape of the future of staffing and so forth with AI coming on the scene? Do you anticipate changes or whatnot?
Yeah, good, really good question. I covered that in the staffing summit, and there was some really, really senior people in the AI industry that were there to give us that insight. So AI is going to make our lives a lot easier from an efficiency standpoint. There's one thing that I think right now anyway that people don't understand about AI, and it starts with the first word, is artificial, right? It's not real. It doesn't do what we do, and it needs us to prompt it to do something. It's not going to sit there and go, Jerry's just put a job in the system and I'm going to steal it from him and I'm going to fill it myself. It just doesn't do that. It's impossible. People think it can, but it cannot do that. You have to prompt it. So we're gradually bringing in AI tools on the recruitment side. First, I'll talk about that first, to help us find candidates, right? But that doesn't mean to say that we have to listen to what the AI, because AI gets it wrong all the time as well. But the reason that it gets it wrong is because what we prompt it to do is wrong in the first place, right? On the sales side, it's a little different because it goes out there. We have bots that scrape job boards and things like that, and it tells us a lot of information about what companies hiring, how many times they've hired, who the key people are. It finds their email addresses and phone numbers and all of that stuff, right? So that's real, but it still needs us to go click and go and find this for us. So it's just going to make our lives a lot more efficient, and hopefully that will speed the cycles, the sales cycle and the recruitment cycles up. All of that being said, one point that I made, because everyone was boasting that I've got the best AI, I've got the best AI, that everyone was boasting about that at this summit. And what I said to everyone, which there was 300 people in the room and they gave me a microphone, and it was literally one of those moments where everybody went quiet. And I said, you've got to be really careful, because if you go to a client and start boasting that you use AI across the board, what they see is you're sat doing nothing and you've got an artificial robot doing all the work. What does that mean? Lower price. Oh, you can do it a lot cheaper then. You don't want to get into those conversations, because once your client's in that mindset, it's very hard to pull them back out.
Yeah.
So you want to say, yes, we use AI where possible or where needed, but it does not take over or run or rule our business. It's just a tool that we have, the same as a phone. It's no different. Does that answer your question?
Smart filter.
Exactly, Robert. Exactly. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Jerry?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Shakira, any questions from you at all?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. All right.
I have one more.
Yeah, sure, please.
So I know you said we utilize Pipedrive. Is that something that we have to purchase ourselves?
No, we've got the license here.
Perfect.
Yeah. I think just trying to think if there's any. The only license you make, which it's entirely, it's not necessary, is if you wanted to upgrade to like LinkedIn Sales Navigator, or one of the. I don't use any of the LinkedIn paid stuff, and I do perfectly fine. But some people like the premiums and the Sales Navigators and stuff like that. So,
gotcha.
Yeah, the recruiters do. I think all of our recruiters have LinkedIn Recruiter, which is quite expensive. It's about 10, 12 grand a year, I think. But it's one placement. They only make one placement, it's paid for. And then they get to place people on it for the rest of the year. So, but all I advise is put some fees under your belt first and then think about what you want to pay, rather than getting something up front and maybe it does or does not work for you.
Gotcha.
Okay. All good. I'll move on to the next one. So, we'll talk about the company and industry overview. Right on time. Okay, so what we want to talk about here is company's history, background, our core mission, vision and values. You've already met the leadership team, so you know who we are, but I'm going to tell you again just in case. And then the size of the industry. And the reason I harp on about the size of the industry, especially for people that are relatively new, is to make sure you understand just the sheer volume of dollars that's going through the staffing industry. Sorry if there's are you getting a lot of feedback on your end, guys? Couple of live, no, okay.
You're good.
People outside. And when we talk about the size of the staffing industry, that it's just a colossal monster that's already out there, and two is it's not going anywhere, and it's always continuing to grow and grow and grow. So that tells you that, you know, clients and companies are becoming more and more reliant on staffing agencies as time goes on, and taking away their HR functions, and their talent acquisition teams are starting to lower. And I can tell you exactly why that doesn't work as we get through it. So company background. Company background. So why are we doing this? The industry has changed. The industry's been around for 60 years plus. But what we do fundamentally has not changed. We build relationships and we help people solve pain points. What happened with COVID, which was hopefully a one-off, and I'm sure you've seen it. I've lost personal friendships due to COVID. We had lots of conversations around, do we get the jab? Do we get this? What politics do you believe in? It all came out, right? And I think it was because we had just a lot of time on our hands to sit and think and ponder and worry about things, and we were all locked away, and you know, and it's been very detrimental. What we want to do is just get back to basics, which is talking to people and building long-term strategic relationships where clients can see you and hear you and feel you, and they know that when they need something that you're going to be there for them. And if you do that, which is what I've done, I've been in 33 years now in staffing. I've still got one of my very first original clients is still in England. Is still a client of mine to this day. You know, so it sets you up for a long-term success if you can do this. And it's a great industry to be in. If you don't have any background in staffing, I don't think there's another, and I'm very biased when I say this, but I don't think there's another industry like this that you'll feel so passionate about once you understand the impact that we have, you know, for people in there, both the client again and the candidates. So the closer you get to the clients, the more you know about them, and the more you know about them, the better we can serve them. If you do all of that, the money just follows. Okay, a lot of people come into staffing because I say staffing is full of failed salespeople. I'm one of them. I tried vacuum cleaners, I tried windows, I tried selling insurance, I tried knocking on doors. I even went into car dealership, only lasted one day and I walked out. But when I found recruitment, I knew on that one first day that was it, because I was helping people. And what I realized about all of the other stuff was I didn't believe in the product. I just did not believe in it. In staffing and recruitment, there is no product. It's a human capital business. So what your passion comes from is the belief in the fact that we're changing people's lives. We're changing your life. We're changing your life. When you win the fees, we're changing your client's life when they get to fill that important role or roles, and we're changing the life of that candidate when they go home and celebrate, I got the job, and the family celebrates. So relationships are the absolute foundational core of what we do and why. So that's what we want to get back to. That's what we're moving back to. There's a lot of companies that are just not seeing this, and they continue on like they were in COVID and sending emails and hoping for the best, and they've forgotten how to talk to people. So that's what we want to get back to. So just a quick company overview. I established PRC in 2014. I've been with the company 15 years, and I decided to go solo, and I brought 4 clients with me straight away. People normally set up businesses and then you know they set the business up and then bring the clients and then they leave. I did it completely back to front. I left the company, had nothing in my hands. I was like, okay, I'm going to set up PRC, and the clients just followed me, thankfully, you know. So we got 4 clients, and we had a really, it was a lifestyle business for me. It wasn't something that I was putting a lot of time and effort into. When they called, I was reacting, and when they didn't call, I didn't, you know, I was doing other things. So between 2014, 15, 16, I was doing consulting work, bits of recruitment. So it was very up and down roller coaster. But in 2017, we hit a $1 million milestone, which I was just blown away by that, because I remember exactly where I sat when that happened, and I didn't even know that we'd done $1 million in sales. It was just something that was just continuing. Let's keep going, and it's like wham, and you see it, it's like, wow, that's my business. You know, we've done it. You know, we then moved into 2019. We opened up in Dallas. We got 6 new clients. We've still got 2 or 3 of those right now. The other 3 have gone out of business. And then obviously COVID hit, and that was a huge downturn. Staffing, which you'll see in the numbers, staffing came to a complete grinding halt for a period of time until they figured out how to communicate with each other. Post-COVID, we started to rebuild again. If you look at my profile on LinkedIn, you'll see that I went off and I was working, then I came back again. So you can see it all ties in. And then 2024, we had our best year ever, and that's when Robin joined the business and invested in the business, and I hired him as chief operations officer, which is what he is now. And then it's sky's the limit for us all right now. So we've been in business 10 years, or over 10 years. It will be April the 15th, I think it was, when we actually established the PRC Group family name. So if you got any questions on anything, please feel free to stop me. I'm not going to bore you with these details again because we've already gone through this, but you'll see who we are. We've both got very individual backgrounds, but when we put those 2 things together, it really complements each other very, very well. We don't trip up over each other. I did have a partner originally. PRC was actually called something else, which will remain nameless because they're still going to this day. And he was an industry colleague of mine. And when I got in business with him, we just clashed straight away because I had these strong opinions and he had strong opinions, and we were not going to budge. So that's how PRC was born. Was I went off and did it on my own. And then as time went on, obviously Robin joined, and it was just, and I've known Robin for a long time, so the trust and everything is there, but we just complement each other very well. Where I've got weaknesses, he picks up strengths, and vice versa. Okay, mission, vision, and core values. We need to read this out, and at the end of it, I just want to ask what this means to you. So as I'm reading it out, you know, I'd like to get your feedback on this. So our mission statement: we match talent with opportunity, leadership with vision, strategy with execution, with integrity at the core of every action. Our vision statement is to build an industry-leading firm that connects businesses with top-tier talent whilst upholding the highest standards of integrity. And our core values, as we've said over and over again, integrity is our number 1. It's the key thing that we start with. Okay, we believe without integrity, there is nothing else. We drive excellence, we hold ourselves accountable, and we trust and we respect each other. I think if we all stick within that and we just have this mindset that we're all working together, like keep repeating, you're working with us, not for us, we've got literally sky's the limit for us all. We can make this go as far and wide as we want to. So what does all of that say to you guys individually? What does that mean to you? Does it sit well? Is there anything you would add? Is there anything you would take away? How do you feel about that? And it's important for me to understand that, because, and please, if you've got any doubts, concerns, or I've said this a million times, it's very easy to say to someone, I've got lots of integrity and I drive excellence. It's very easy to say it. It's much, much harder to do it, you know? So if you've got any doubts or concerns or anything like that, I would love to hear it, because there's nothing better than for me to get these out in the open now, and for you to 3 months, 6 months come and say, you were right, Paul, you've demonstrated everything and it means everything to us as well. So how do you feel about this? I'm going to start with Shakira this time, because Shakira, you're only on the bottom of my screen, Shakira. That's why I'm kind of going top to bottom. So what does this mean to you?
It means that I will need to work with integrity and strive for excellence and be accountable.
What does accountable mean to you?
Meaning that I take responsibility for my actions and I set my goals high.
I just want to add one little piece of that. Hold me and Robin accountable to your standards as well. Okay, it's a very big shift in mindset, because most of us, if not all of us, I think all of us have all worked for somebody at some point in our careers,
Mm-hmm.
and you're working with us now. So don't think that me and Robin are up here and you're all down here. That's not what this is about. We're all here. We're all on the same level. We can't go anywhere without you, and you can't go anywhere without us. So this is a team effort. So hold us accountable as well. If we say something and we don't do it, get on that phone and shout at Robin, not me, by the way, but shout at Robin. Robert, what does this mean to you?
Standardized collaboration is pretty much where I would put it. I mean, you can't make money if we don't make money, and we don't make money if you don't make money. So it's a revolving circle, so to speak.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I just want to add something there as well, because, you know, everyone's very aware of the numbers. We're very transparent about the numbers, right? And people think that we make 50% of those fees comes in and me and Robin get, right? We plug all of that money into marketing dollars, into systems that we've got, into all sorts of things in the background. And we make for every $100,000 that goes through, we actually only walk away with $8,000 as a business. So we're not making tons and tons of money. We're actually giving the majority of the money away. So 67% of our money goes straight out the front door before we even do anything. You know, so I just want you guys to understand that you know, if we make $100,000 fee, you know, Jerry does the sale, Robert does the recruitment, and then Paul and Robert get 50K. Absolutely not. You know, so not the case at all. 67,000 goes out the door between paying you guys and everything else, and then all of the marketing behind it. It takes a lot to keep this going. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. Jerry, what about you, sir?
I do marketing. We can save money on that.
Great. We'll be talking to you. Maybe we can line each other's pockets on that. Robert, maybe
absolutely
we can help you. Yeah.
You know, I've had several businesses, and I know that from civics, let alone working in like the businesses, as a business owner, that the SMB landscape, you know, small and medium businesses in this country are just so vital for the whole economy, for everything, and yet they just don't get a break. I mean, it's probably the hardest job in America is to be a business owner, and it's they just can't, you really can't get a break, you know. I understand that aspect, but I said something, I think, I don't know if it was with you folks or another group interview I was in, but I don't know, for the last several years, I for some reason I made it a point to make this sentence in an interview, is that, you know, I've never had to lie to make a sale, and it's true. I mean that, you know. I remember being in a room where you know, we're all in a room, we're all hugging down, we're selling, and these hot shots, you know, they can come in with the deal so fast, you know, but they're just spinning it. You know, the buyer doesn't really know what's going on, and they buy it, and, you know, and hope that they don't get buyer's remorse, and you know, get the deal in. Whereas with me, it took me twice as long to get the deal, but I didn't. Everybody knew what they were getting, and I had like zero cancellations, you know, because everybody knew what was going on, and that made me feel good. You know, is that everybody knew what was happening when I was, before the phone call ended or what have you, and the thing is with integrity, the minute we don't show, the minute we cut corners, or we show a crack in our integrity to a client, we're done. We're done. Who would ever want to use us? You know. It really is. It's so important, because it's about trust, like trust in a relationship. Once that trust is gone, I don't care what anybody says. It just doesn't come back, you know. So
I-
we don't cut corners, and we execute all of our moves with integrity and with excellence, you know,
Yep.
because we can.
Yes, it's this, and you're absolutely right. This is a choice. This is not, we're not being forced to do this. And here's what I say is, you know, so somebody's asked me about, because we've got some very experienced people who, I think the more you get into any industry at all, you've probably seen this in marketing, Robert, is people do cut corners sometimes. Not for any other than I think just the industry wearing on them, and you know, I know how to do that. I'll just get on, and you forget your process, right? It happens. But the difference is we're honest about it. So if it happens, just own it. Just be accountable for it. That's it. It's and like you said, you're absolutely on the nail. If you lie and then they find out, you know, number one is I could never be a liar because I can't remember what I said yesterday anyway. So it's much easier for me to tell the truth the whole time. But you just go home and you've got a very clear conscience, and you don't have to worry about anything. Is even if you've done something wrong, at least I've been honest. You can't ever take my honesty away from me or my transparency. You can never take that away from me. Even if we have a big fallout and we walk away, I know that you'll always say, well, you know, Paul's sorry, the lady on the call, but an a-hole, but at least he was honest. And that's what it means, everything to me, that everything. If you've got that as a starting point, you can build on it. So thank you for that feedback. I really appreciate it.
Yep. It's easier to be honest and harder to lie.
It really is. Yeah. I think that's probably one of the hardest lessons that probably a lot of people go through. I've always been very honest. I've been honest to my own detriment sometimes. I will say it's got me in trouble, but like I said, you can't ever take it away from me. You know, so okay, so the majority of clients, I'm moving your window around because it's right in the middle of the page. I keep having to move it around. So sorry if I'm moving it where, so at least I'm looking at you. So the majority of our clients don't even know that they're our clients yet, because obviously we're not doing business with them. So we need to understand that that's where we are as a starting point, and that's okay. All right, we're not handing people someone that we've been in business with for 30. Now that may happen, by the way. We may have, you know, a client in Arizona. We've got clients in Arizona. We may have a client in Arizona that becomes too big for us to handle from him and say, Robert, take over that client and it's yours, you know, because it's easier and we know that you're somebody's local and all of that stuff. That can happen. But where we're starting as a starting point, we don't know. Those clients don't know us and we don't know them yet. So that's where the starting point is. So just have that. I say that out loud because that's a big hurdle for people to get over. The clients will come, 100% they will come. There's no two ways about it. We've had nobody that's failed, and we're never going to have anyone that's failed. The only people that fail is the ones that give up and just decide to do something different, right? This is not for me. I don't want to do this anymore. But if you stick to it and you've got integrity and honesty and transparency and everything that we talk about, it will happen for you. I promise you it will happen for you. So the other side of it, when I say clients, is our candidates are also our clients. They're our customers. So the people that we place in the roles, not just the companies that we're recruiting for, but the people we place in the role, the people that we get jobs for, they are also our customers. And it's very, very important that we stay very focused on those two things, because if we miss one of those and it gets out of line and we start treating the client as like this big up on a marble archway, and then, you know, they're treating them like a god. And then we say to these people, oh, we're getting you the job, so you've got nothing. It just goes skewed and it just doesn't work. So it's just as important to have the clients, ourselves, and the people all treated exactly the same. The bit I want to emphasize in all of this is we are also just as important in this role. Don't forget, we're the connector. So we won't have any clients or candidates disrespecting us in any way, shape, or form, because we don't need to do that. I've had maybe 2 or 3 clients I've had to fire in my lifetime due to being disrespectful or being too demanding or being unrealistic. And they've either come back at a later date and apologize and they become a client again, or they've just become a pull for us to pull people from. Not in a nasty, intentional way, but we can't be everything to everybody, or else we would never be able to find candidates. So there are going to be companies that we need to pull from, and it's really important that we represent. You're representing yourselves, you're representing PRC, you're representing the client, the companies, and you're representing the candidates. So there's a whole group of us here that we all need to be very, very aware of. And what we ultimately want to avoid is that transactional relationship where it's a one-off, where you place someone and you call again and like, who are you again? Well, it's Paul from PRC, and I don't remember you, and you've already done business with them. That's the transactional piece we want to avoid. We want somebody where they pick up the phone because they see your number and go, hey Paul, oh hey, great to hear from you. How you doing? Yeah, where you should call. I've got this going on. That's where we want to get to. Okay, who do we compete with? So this is I've put some big companies' names here, and it's because it's scary to look at these. Randstad are in 70 countries around the world. Aerotech is probably one of the biggest technical engineering recruitment agencies in America and Canada. Kelly Services is just the same, but they're in the blue collar world. So how do we compete with them? We don't, is my answer. When you do a SWOT analysis like this, it's very, very easy to get bogged down and go, how on earth am I ever going to beat a Randstad or an Aerotech? We're not there to beat them. I don't know if anybody's ever read the book about a blue ocean strategy, and it talks about red ocean and blue ocean. The red ocean is where you've got everybody in that same ocean and all the sharks are attacking each other and there's blood in the ocean. That's a red ocean. When you create a blue ocean is when you're out on your own and you're doing your own thing and a client can see you and there's nobody else out there. That's where we want to move to. We want to create our own blue ocean. And how we do that is, instead of negatively looking at this SWOT analysis and going, if you look at Randstad and go strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, they've got a large network of clients and candidates. However, they don't service them very well. They're transactional. Their weaknesses, they're primarily focused on large scale. They've got to do big volume recruitment, right? Or else it doesn't churn, it doesn't make enough money. What does that leave their smaller clients needing help? Their opportunities, they expand specialized sectors. They're in tech, they're in healthcare, they're in manufacturing, they're in every industry, right? But that means they're everything to everybody. They're not niche down. They've got people in there that are specialists, what they call them. But if I call one of them specialists in manufacturing and say, I need an IT person, they'll take that vacancy because they need to perform for Randstad. Otherwise, they'll get fired. And the threats, they've got heavy reliance on temp staffing and they will do low margin business. I've worked at Randstad and all of those things are true. It's a horrific business to work for because it's transactional. You're a number, doesn't matter where you go in. I was a senior vice president of the US for them for 1 year and I walked out because they just do not care. It's just about the dollars. Just keep the dollars coming, keep it going, keep going, keep going. I want high margin. I want the most money. I want the fastest way to the least amount of effort. That's not what recruitment's about. It's about value add. So that's how you create your blue ocean. Is you don't just look at the opportunities and the threats that they've got and monopolize that. You look at the whole thing. Yes, they've got a large network of clients and candidates. So what? Does that mean everybody's using that network to their advantage? Absolutely not. I can guarantee they're not, because Aerotech, Kelly Services, Manpower, PRC, we all survive and we all thrive and we all grow. That's how I know they're not getting it right, because otherwise they'd take over the world. So if we look at the key areas in service levels and dig deep with those customers and clients and customers, that's where we create a new area for ourselves. That's where we become known. Rather than looking at we can do quantity, but we still do it with a qualitative approach. We don't just throw mud at the wall and see if it sticks. If we can't do it, we say we can't do it. If we say we're going to do it, then we do it wholeheartedly. So these are just some of the big companies. There's lots and lots of these, all different sizes. But the key to all of this is we create our own space, we create our own story, and that will create our own results. All makes sense? We'll get to, stop me if you've got any questions. So this is the staffing industry. This was on the slide in the presentation. Again, the dark blue bars at the bottom down here. Can you see my mouse, by the way? Can you see it moving? Yeah. So this area down here, all of these, 85%. This is all the temporary staffing, contract staffing. Okay, so temporary placement of staff. And then these are the permanent placements. So if you look at these numbers, they're fairly consistent, 15, 14s, 13s, 10s, 10s. You see around these where they dip is usually when there's a dip in the economy, right? Or there's something's going sideways. But it does not mean that it's going anywhere. If you look at you look at 10% of $81 billion, 10% of that was still in permanent recruitment in the worst year that we've seen in 50 years. Okay, so there's still $81 billion went through this industry. And this is just what's recorded within the staffing associations. These numbers are much, much higher that don't get recorded because staffing associations only record numbers for companies that are registered with the staffing association first and share their numbers. So these are the Aerotechs, the Kelly Services, the Randstads, who are wanting to boast and brag about their numbers that they beat each other by $1 here and $1 there. So these are much, much higher. But you see overall, if you were putting money in here as a stock and share and you came up here now, you've made money, which means it's growing. Where we are now, down here in 2025, we're just about to start tackling a major talent shortage, and it's mainly because of the baby boomer workforce are retiring now and starting to take back seats. And as those retired professional people, who, by the way, are the hardest working people that we will ever see in our lifetime, right? The baby boomers, they're the ones that were putting the 50, 60, 70 hours a week in. They're all starting to go away now. What's left is what I've got left, which is probably another 10, 15, maybe 20 years in me. And then you see all the different Gen Zs, whatever they're called now, the millennials, all of that behind it. They're not going to work 60, 70 hours. What does that mean? The job still needs to get done. So there's going to be needs for more and more people in addition to the volume of jobs, which is already on the increase, which is why this is going in the direction that it is. So in 2022, it was $186 billion went through the Staffing Association that was registered with the American Staffing Association. I think it was there it is, 207 billion in 2024. And it employs 13 million people, which is in these bars here, 13 million people in here. That's a lot of headcount. And then these, if you look at, if that's 13 million, is that 2023? So, yeah, well, let's just say it's the same number. That is probably 14.5 million now, based on 200, if my math's about right, about 14.5 million people will be employed in 2025. And then you do 15% of 200, so that's 30 billion in permanent placement fees, give or take. In comparison to 15% of 186, that's about 24 billion. So it's going up by about 25% year on year in permanent staffing. So, which is what we're targeting. So you tie the growth, which is the number of companies that are hiring, the number of roles that are out there, take the baby boomers out of the market. We've had this huge shift that I got asked the other week, which is all of the, there's a lot of illegal immigrants that are working full-time jobs that are getting deported from the country. It's going to leave a massive shortage across the board. Our clients are going to be scrambling. We need to be there for them. Okay, last slide before I stop rattling on, hand it over to you guys for Q&A again. Just to go over again what our future looks like. We've got business plans. We will openly share them and be transparent with everybody, all of our team members, which includes you guys. We want you to feel a sense of belonging. We want you to feel part and parcel of this. We want you to feel like you own a piece of this business. That's what we want you to feel like. If we all do this and it all works out, we provide you that roadmap. You can see a long-term future with us. You don't need to go anywhere else and you'll make a boatload of money. So we want you to feel like a piece of the furniture, like you've been here forever. We want to get to know you. You want to get to know us. You're going to hear our crappy jokes. You're going to hear all sorts of things from us, but we want to hear yours as well. And we believe with that trust and that respect and all those values that we're just going to explode. In fact, we are going to explode and grow. We're already heading that way. We want to expand into cities across the country. We want to build out the national sales team. We want to continually update our standards and keep driving for higher and higher and higher and improving. And then we're also acquiring small private companies. They're kind of scattered all over the place right now, but eventually we'll start bolting them all together. We'll start driving some economies of scale in the back office and things like that, marketing. And that's where all you guys come in, that's where we'll all benefit from us. So everyone thinks it's like a big secret. The secret says at the bottom, it's not, it's us. It's not me and Robin. It's not me or Robin. It's us. It's all of us that makes this turnaround. Teamwork makes the dream work. Questions? No math or English, please.
So, what is the average cost to a client to provide the services that they need? I'm looking at 40 to 70K.
The average cost. I don't think I'm understanding the question, Jerry. Sorry.
Okay, so I approached a company. They don't have a staffing company with it at all. They've been trying to do it themselves.
Yeah.
And I want to provide that service to them.
Yep.
What are they gonna? What are they? What's the check they're gonna write to
Are you talking about the fees that we charge them?
I mean,
Okay.
On average.
Yeah, great point. So we'll go. I think it's tomorrow that we go over this.
Okay, I can wait.
But no, I'll go into it now because you can start thinking ahead of time. It ranges. There's lots of dependence on that, and I'll tell you the reason why. And this is what we teach you towards the end of the week is when you're negotiating. Our average fees are about 27%, 25, 27% on a annual salary. Okay, something in that range. We've got fees that are up at 35%. We've also got fees that are as low as 80. I think 18 is the lowest. Here's where the difference lies is if you've got a client, and we'll talk about these different ways of what's the word I'm looking for? Applying our recruitment strategies. You start with what's called contingent, then you've got exclusive, and you've got engaged, and you've got retained. And I'll talk about the differences in those. Basically, you're going to start as contingent because that means a client can use other agencies and it's contingent on we coming up with the results, right? We're up against other agencies. You want to move them to exclusive, engaged, and retain because that means we're the only ones that have got that role and they're more bought into what we're doing. So they're paying us up front, they're paying us some fees up front. In order to negotiate that, they may say, okay, well, if I give you exclusivity and I tell all my other agencies, nope, sorry, I'm going to work with Robert from PRC, they may say to you, well, I want a lower percentage. So you may have to come down to 23% from 25, right? But then they might say, however, I'm going to pay you on 90 days and I want a 1-year guarantee. So you might like, well, I don't want to give you a 1-year guarantee. I'm going to give you 3 months, right? But within 3 months, you need to know who that person is. And they'll say, well, okay, I need something else off you. So you give them another 0.5%. So you're at 22.5. And hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, I can't work with 90-day payment. I prefer to work with 14 days instead of 90. They say, okay, well, take me some other. So you go down to 20% and you meet them somewhere in the middle. You use all of these levers and these negotiation points to get paid fast, get paid on time, and develop the relationship. And it also shows that you've grown with them. Most clients won't even ask you for anything. You can just go, I can't work with that. And let them say, okay, what about 60 days? No, can't work with that. What about 45 days? Well, if you're getting 35%, you wait 45 days for the payment because that's a big chunk of money coming in, So that's where you want to start playing around with your numbers, and I'll show you all of that in your negotiation tactics. And me and Robin are on hand if you want us to negotiate for you with clients and sell to your clients, things like that. We're always happy to do that. But use these as levers to pull and push your negotiation tactics. Ultimately, you want the most amount of money in the least amount of time, and you want to be paid on time. So you want to be aiming for 1,000% fees. You're going to pay me a day before it's due, and the payment terms are 1 day. That's what you should be aiming for. Realistically, you're going to get 25%, 30 days payment. Your guarantee period is going to be 90 days. Guarantee period is, I put Robert to work at ABC Marketing. He doesn't work out and we have to replace him, then we have to replace Robert free of charge with another. Some clients ask for money back, but we say no to that. We say you get a free replacement, or you can have a credit for something in the future. Does that all make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be going into a bit more detail tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow, I believe, the pricing and margins. There's a couple of days where I'm just going to be talking and we're doing some whiteboard stuff. It's not all slides and Paul rattling on and boring you to tears.
Since you're I guess going in and we're having to do negotiations and all that stuff, is that why this is called a sales position instead of a staffing or recruiting position?
Yeah, yes, exactly. Yeah, you're selling staffing services to a client. Yes, correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's a lot easier as well. In fact, I know it's a lot easier if you learn the sales side first. The recruitment side's always easier. A lot of companies do it opposite. They put people in recruitment roles and then they try to make salespeople. It does not work. And I'll tell you the reason why. When I've gone into companies to help them turn them around, I say, okay, recruiters have to be salespeople. We've just got to get the sales going. Recruiters find it very, very difficult to shift into sales because as a recruiter, you're giving somebody, like I've got a job and I'm giving you a job, right? So they don't think they're selling, even though they are selling, they don't think they're selling. Whereas in a sales position, when you're trying to take a job, like they're trying to take something from a client and they see this differentiation in there and they can't get their head around it. If you do the sales first and understand how to take a job, how to set up a contract, how to get close to a client, when you move into the recruitment, if you choose to move into the recruitment cycle, it will be 100 times easier. 100 times easier. In fact, you won't want to move into recruitment. You might do both, but you will not want to move into recruitment. So that's why we do it the way we do. It's much easier to start in sales and move to recruitment than it is the other way around.
So I'm a little lost on the days when what determines how many days somebody needs?
The days.
You say you talk about doing it in 90 days or 30 days or 1 day. I mean, what exactly are you? Can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah, that's the guarantee period and the payment terms are the two different pieces of that.
But
So
we're saying that I'm sorry, but we're saying that we're gonna get that role filled within X amount of time.
No. So the guarantee. So let's start with the payment terms are. We place Jerry on. I'm going to say April 1st. We'll make it April the 2nd, and the payment terms are 30 days. 30 days later, they'll pay the invoice, right? But the guarantee period will usually be 90 days. So that means Robert starts on April the 1st. 90 days later is when that replacement fee runs out. And if you're still there, then that's null and void. Then you're there and you're there forever, meaning that you're working out, everything's great.
Okay.
Every now and again, you'll get someone that just does not work out. It's usually something on the client side rather than the candidate side. The client will say, well, if Robert doesn't work out in this marketing manager's role within 90 days, what are you going to do for me? And that's when you say you'll get a free replacement. You don't want to be offering money back. That's
of course
what I'm trying to make. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And that'll be on its price is tomorrow. Its pricing and margins will be tomorrow that we'll run through. Does that make sense?
So we could experience chargebacks then in that case.
I've never had a chargeback.
Oh,
Never, not in my, I've been in 33 years. I've never paid a client I've replaced people, but it's been less than, I don't even think it's been 10 in my
we just
entire
have to do,
career.
we just have to do the work again that we once did.
The recruiter does, not you.
Oh, okay. Okay, I got it. Yeah, oh, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So Robert brings a role in for a marketing manager. Our recruiters go out to market and they find Shakira, who's going to be there, and then we recruit Shakira and play Shakira at that role, right? All the fees go out to you and the recruiters, but then Shakira doesn't work out. She doesn't like the company, the culture's wrong, and she decides to leave on day 25. It's very rare, but it does happen. We would have to go and find somebody else to replace Shakira's free of charge, but that's on the recruiter, not on you guys. You don't have to take another role on or sell anything else. It's the recruiters. But that's where they've got it wrong. Something culturally hasn't been picked up. But like I said, I'm saying 10. I don't even think I've had 5 in my entire career. It's very, very rare that it happens. Very, very rare. If you've got a good client, you've got a good relationship, and that's the key to it, is building that relationship and asking the right questions, which we'll train you on, so you can pass that to the recruiter and say, hey, just be, and things that throw people off is, it was further than I thought. There was a beltway in between that you didn't tell me about. There's just stupid little things like that we've just got to be aware of. It's an hour's drive at prime time rush hour traffic. Because a lot of candidates, and I have had this, not that they didn't take the job, but I've had this question where they've gone, I'm going to drive down there at the weekend and see where my new potential employer is. And they go on a Sunday and it takes them 20 minutes. And then they go on Monday morning and it takes them an hour because they're in rush hour traveling. Like, you didn't tell me it was going to be an hour. Well, you didn't drive in for rush hour track. You went on a Sunday. Everyone's in bed. Of course it's going to be 20 minutes. So you get little nuances like that. And that's where the recruiters really hone in, and they'll say, are you aware where you're, and we look at addresses and we look at where people live and we map it and we do all of that stuff with them. And we look at the culture of the company, how long they've been in business, what the work hours are, if there's overtime, all that sort of thing as we're building up the profiles of people. But the recruiters take all of that on.
During COVID, I was interviewing carpet techs, and I really was, everything that was being said in the news was true. The youngsters had one job before this one or something, busboy in a restaurant, something, but they want to argue with you that they should have $25 an hour. The minimum wage is 18, and so I was just amazed. I almost started crying because the work ethic has just gone south in this country. And I thought, what are we going to do? So having said that, is it true that those of us with a good work ethic are really going to rise, separate ourselves from this other crowd and do well because of it?
Absolutely.
Because some of this is work ethic that's not going to affect my work. But if I was a recruiter, I think it would be an effect then, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
How does that bad work ethic affect us in the role?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the only time that will come into play is when we get in the contract side or the temporary staffing side. You'll get clients that will come to you and say, because we don't just do permanent, we do everywhere from temp, and we do temp to perm, where somebody will try somebody out for 90 days and then take them on permanent. We do all of that stuff, right? So we have to run payrolls for all of our temporary workers. And depending on the caliber and the location, all of that kicks into play. And that's a different recruiter, by the way. That's somebody totally different that handles it. It's fast paced. The client will call and go, Paul's not turning up for work tomorrow. He's called in sick, and I need somebody tomorrow morning. And we've got to be on it. So those recruiters are just non-stop, day and night, just calling people. If those people don't turn up for work, then we're not billing hours. No, that's when the work ethic thing can kick in. But that's down to the recruiters again to make sure. Again, I have a very, very, very severe, very strong work ethic and work cycle in my recruitment training that everybody has to follow to make sure that that does not happen. And it's all in the front end of the recruitment. Are you going to turn up for work? Tell me, sign here if you're not going to show up. What's the most likely? We ask all these questions. What's the most likely thing is going to happen tonight that's not going to make you go to work tomorrow? And you get like weather and things like that. But what you want is someone to say, well, I'm probably going to get drunk on a Wednesday. Okay, right. Well, you're done. Out. You know, thanks for being honest, but I believe you get people that do that. I've had people say that. Well, you know, I do like a drink on a Wednesday, and you're just like, oh my, what did you say that for? You know?
Yeah.
And you just have to move on. You have to go somewhere else, you know. So that's the only thing when you from a work ethic, but even then, it's typically when you get into that blue collar space. If you're dealing with, you know, production management or, you know, like salespeople, don't really get taken on temporary, but when there's just a lot of people, like if you've got a FedEx contract or an Amazon contract, you get people that just don't show up for work. You know, they go and do other things, they don't tell you, and so we try and avoid things like that.
So a lot of those companies know, I guess, since it's more of an expendable job, a lot of companies are a little bit more, I guess, understanding with those type of contracts then.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They and that's why I like to avoid them, because they don't really care, Robert, to be honest.
Yeah.
You have to call them in the morning, not you, but the recruiters have to call around in the morning, which is something that nobody does anymore. But all of my recruiters call around in the morning to make sure everybody's turned up for work, because those hours are only billable if somebody's turned up for work.
Yeah.
You know, and if they haven't, then they're on the phone and they're trying to fill that job straight away. The client doesn't care. Unless it's like really hampering them, like they had a route that was set up and there's a van and it's loaded and then there's no driver, you're going to get a phone call then, and they're going to be pissed, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry, my language, Kira. They're going to be upset. You know, so you've got to be mindful of, but that's such a different ball game of getting into that. And if your client asks you about contract recruitment, of course we will do it. Of course we'll help them if we can, make sure that we can. But that's a whole different. But the upside of it is you can charge much higher fees. They don't really care about what your percentage fees are. So you could charge. I mean, we've got 200-300% fees on people's hourly rates, and it's residual. So you know they keep working, that money keeps coming in. You know, it's not like a one-time wham big hit fee, but if you can get into doing both, that's when you've got residual coming and you build that list up of your contract workers. You know, I mean, I've had, when I was in recruitment, which was some time ago now, but I left a desk of about 220 contracted people that were working every day just under my desk. So I was quadrupling my salary at that point, purely in bonus alone, you know. So it's a great business to be in on that side. The upside is huge and it's ongoing, you know, and you just keep growing and growing and growing. Whereas with permanent, you get that one-time fee and then you have to go to the next job and the next job.
Hey, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, I've had some things going on and didn't know when you guys were going to start and everything. So to that end, I have a 12:45. I get to disappear for maybe 30 minutes, but
Yeah.
is this all being recorded?
It's all recorded. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't miss anything. So I'll just go back with recordings, and I'll come back as soon as I'm done. I apologize. That's
No.
standing
Yeah.
appointment I have, but I'll move everything around after, you know, get our schedule.
And it's same time tomorrow, and we'll move on to pricing and margins. And yeah, you've got.
How long do you think you're going to keep us today?
It won't be much longer now. I think we were posted to. I mean, we'll probably for another 30 minutes. But if you need me, you just call me. I can.
Oh, I just want to wonder if you're still going to be going on, because if you are, I'll get done and come back. But if not, then I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll put my mobile number in
And
chat.
The link won't change. The same link every day.
It's in the invites.
Okay.
Yeah. There's my mobile number for everybody. If you just feel free to text me. And
that's your mobile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mobile or cell, call it here, right? Cell phone. Yeah.
And same time tomorrow too.
Yeah,
11 a.m. from
same
you?
time for the next, yeah, tomorrow through Thursday. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
What's your put your number back up again? I'm sorry. What's the last 4 digits?
9169
Thank you.
713 997 9169. I'm here for whatever you need.
It's almost. I'm waiting for the shoe. What's the catch? The shoe's gonna drop or something. You know what I mean, Robert? It's like,
No catch.
Absolutely.
There's no catch.
come on, you're not serious. You're gonna keep us around even if we're drop down to doing one deal a week. Come on. I've never been. I mean, people say that, but they're there looking at it. What I hate the most is you get your play plan and you hit the numbers. But Monday morning you go in. Jerry, we were thinking that you really need a different pay plan. But don't worry because this is gonna be better for you. What?
Nope.
They do that over and over again, and that's
I call
why.
that the moon and the stars approach.
Yeah.
Oh, the moon and the stars was not aligned, so you.
I would really appreciate if you just tell me the truth.
Yeah.
We just can't afford you at that pay plan. We got to change it a little bit, man. We didn't know how good you were.
No.
But,
the only thing that changes with us is it goes up, not down. It goes up. The more you bring to the table, the more we pay out. There comes a point where we've got our overheads covered and we don't need any more. We're not going to take any more. That's not what we're here to do. We're not going to be millionaires from this. That's not what this is about. This is a pay it back. This is a pay it forward. We want people to thrive. We want people to do well, If you're doing well and everybody else is doing well, everyone will feed off it. That's what all of this is about. That's it. There's no catch. No catch. In fact, the only catch, you got to listen to me drivel on for the next 3 days. There's a catch.
Yeah, I had one of those aha moments today. I was like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that these people are going to train you in an industry and make you successful in a high dollar industry, really? And it's like, yeah, it's like, wow, at my age, that someone's willing to do that with me and for me. It's amazing. Okay. It really is.
That's all we're trying to be.
Yeah, I'm excited.
That's it. There really is no hidden catch. But please don't believe me until you believe me. Just keep turning up and keep asking and keep pushing and prodding and try and catch me out.
I've been suspended so many times. I'm sure there's something I could do to get fired.
Not here.
Find out, but
not here there isn't. Yeah, the only way you can, I think, in fact, there is one way you can get fired is you can make so much money that you just don't need to be here anymore, and you can fire yourself. Which is we've done our job then.
I suspect speaking or treating a client poorly would be another reason as well. But I don't know.
Well, we just move on to another client. I mean, that's not a reflection on you. That's a client that's decided not to. That happens as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to take it personally.
So I guess the real question is what percentage do we all own the company at?
Are you going to do an IPO anytime? That reminded me.
Well, we're all going to stay private, but as you become team leaders, that's when the shares and equity part starts to kick in. Yeah.
Would you ever consider going public?
No.
No? No,
I don't think so. It's just I've worked for 2 public companies and it's an absolute nightmare. When you got to answer to someone else about it's not just the numbers. You got to tell them why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
If we took this model to market, people were like, why are you giving all that money away? You need to start retaining some, and then that's when the models shift and we don't want to lose control. So we stay private, totally private. Yeah. I've still got shares in a quite a high visibility public company in staffing, and it's a nightmare every day watching the price go. And I know exactly why it's happening. It's because they're not doing what I'm doing here. They're treating people like crap and hiring and firing and treating clients like crap, and it's just churning and burning them. It's just burning them, but both ends are going inside each other, eating each other alive. So I just don't want to be part of that anymore. Been there, done it, got the t-shirt, made the video.
There's nothing worse than going to a job that you hate. It's just like this weight around you that's ugh.
Well, that's what I said when we set this up. More when Robin came in. I already had this philosophy, but when Robin came on board, I said my number one fear is somebody sitting there going, God, I don't want to do this today, right? How do we make sure that does not happen? That's what our starting point was. How do we make sure that nobody ever feels that way? we can't stop it. Some people may feel like that, but we need to be there when that happens. We don't need to come forward and say, guys, I'm not feeling this, I'm struggling. And we'll step in and we'll get hold of your hand and say, right, let's go together. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. That's it. That's all we're trying to achieve. Is just trying to be fair with everybody.
I'm gonna sign out, and if you're still on, if I'm done quickly, I'll come right back. If not, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jerry.
How do I access the the recording?
I'll have to send it to everybody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Please
We'll have to finish and it'll process. It'll take me a couple of hours and then I'll send it out.
Thank you so much. I apologize. I got to cut out early, but
no, not at all.
I'll see you tomorrow or in a little bit.
Okay. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one.
Yeah, you as well. See you soon.
Any other questions for you, Robert? Or Shakira has been very quiet in the background, absorbing all of this. Any other questions?
No, I don't have any questions as of yet.
Okay.
Not really. I just have, like, for me, I'm always looking at things at a marketing standpoint. And I was talking to Robin a while ago, like, more so like, why aren't you guys more like, I guess, social media based? Why aren't you guys? I mean, because I understand, I guess you go to like conferences and stuff, and that's how you get your leads and everything like that, and how you connect with company. I was just wondering, I guess you're already getting more than you need just because of that is the reason probably why you don't have such a social media background, and there's no like other types of marketing tactics that I guess could bring in more clients and I guess reviews and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, there's a number of reasons for that, Rowan. It's a really great point. We are getting more than we can handle, and that even if that changed, we're not going to change it. And I'll tell you the reason why is we obviously want you to stick around forever, but the clients that you bring to the table are your clients, not PRC's clients. They're your clients. You're using PRC as a model to get them serviced and looked after and invoiced and paid and all of that stuff, right? At some point, and again, like if I took this public and I said this is someone I'd be sniper shot in no time. If you want to take your clients with you, why would we ever want to get in the way of that? If our model is to make you, if we genuinely mean what we say, which is make you successful, we want you to be able to go off and set your own business up, and we'll fund you as well. By the way, we provide funding for all that and get you up on your feet, and we'll have split percentages and we do stuff like that. But you've got to take those clients with you, or else you won't have a business, right?
Yeah.
So you've got a mini business inside of PRC. That's what this is. It's not PRC Robert. It's Robert uses PRC. Again, it's just totally different to what everybody else is doing, but it works because you genuinely feel that you've got control of your future, but you're leaning on us for everything that you need. And if you ever want to, like I say, you want to stand on your own 2 feet at some point, the sky's the limit. That's when you can come and say, hey guys, I'm doing really well here. I'm thinking of opening an office, and then we'll say, okay, do you want us to partner with you? You want a funding? You want to what do you need from us? And you can take that point. Sorry, I don't need anything. You just become an extension of us for future reference.
Yeah.
If you niche into marketing and you're in Arizona, and we get a client from Boston and says we need a marketing manager and we're struggling, we'll pass that to you because we're not the experts in that, and vice versa. You'll be feeding business to us, and when you leave, somebody else will come and somebody else will come, and we just keep rolling these professionals out. And we want people that are highly trained, highly professional, and drive value, not chase dollars. Drive value. We've got to drive the value. The dollars will follow. Drive the value. So whatever that looks like, it's just all there for the taking. So if we openly promote PRC too much, you're going to become very, and you can be, if you decide, I want to be with you guys forever and I want to be team lead, and that will set you on that path and get you going there.
Yeah.
But I just
You
say
don't be
take
like
some
your
time.
competitors, because then you end up people thinking that you don't care about your model and stuff like your vision statement.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
We don't want to become everything to everybody either. Because that's when you become a Randstad or a Kelly Services, and I've been there and done that, and it just doesn't work. It does to a certain extent, but it's just because people like you become specialized and then just stay with Randstad for a long time. It's not because Randstad are the best thing since sliced bread. It's because the people in Randstad are the best thing since sliced bread. That's the difference. We're just treating it completely different. We've just turned the model upside down on its head and shook it. So we want you to benefit from it. I know it's really hard, and everyone's like, just what's the catch? And what's it? There isn't a catch. It's just it's very genuine, and we want you to succeed. You succeed, we succeed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thanks. It was a great question, and if you do decide to go down the route of staying with us and that career path, you know, all of that gets. We'll show you all of that, and you can also go halfway down your career path and go, don't need you guys anymore. I've been a regional manager. I'm going to go do my own thing. Great. No problem. No problem.
Yeah.
We're not going to argue and get into legal battles and things like that. It's like, what's the point? Nobody wins, you know?
Yeah.
We'll just have a network, a massive network of partners, extended partners, and we'll all flourish.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever get contracts from large businesses, like let's say the healthcare industry and stuff like that? They'll just exclusively just work with you nonstop?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. That's all. I'll say that was again, there's something I was saying at the summit is I've seen where people have got a big client and they become comfortable, too comfortable, and they've relied on it, and then all of a sudden, bang, for whatever reason it drops, you know, and then they go all the way back to ground zero again when they become accustomed to a certain lifestyle. So all I would say is just keep selling and keep rolling, because you're building a business, you know, and to build a business, you need more than one client.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we come across them all the time. We've turned away some big clients because they're too big for us. We just can't service them right now, which is a great problem to have, you know, if you're in a position to say no, yes or no.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's all there for the taking. It's massive. The volume that's out there is just unfathomable. It's an endless. And people get kind of tied in. Again, we're talking about mindset. When I was at that conference, I did a session on mindset, and I said, if in a typical staffing company, I'm going to be saying to you, come on, Robert, where's your KPIs? Come on, you've got to make 50 calls. Come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? Where's your numbers? Where's your numbers? Let's go. That does not work because it's a scarcity mindset. You're starting negatively already, like, oh, I've got to make 50 phone calls. Like, shit. Number one. Number two. We want quality, not quantity. Quantity does not work.
Yeah.
Quality works every single time over quantity. I'd rather you make 5 quality phone calls and get 1 client than make 50 phone calls and leave crappy voicemails and nobody calls you back. What's the point in that? So you start with a scarcity negative mindset versus an abundant, like it's just endless possibility mindset. Totally different mindset. That's again just flipping the whole thing on its head. So just took all the negativity and gone, we're getting rid of that, and then all the positivity and just added and just layering it. And we're continuing to layer it. So we've not got the finished result. As we start bringing people on and you start bringing more ideas, we'll just keep adding and adding to it. You know, that's what all of this is about.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to ask or cover? Honestly, you've got my cell phone there for both of you, Shakira, as well. Please drop me a text message if you think of anything, and you know I'm available. I've got another presentation to do. I've got a call at 4, I think, and then I'm going to a networking event. But I'm on my phone all the time.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So.
I think Robin said something about how he wants us to email him I guess the specific industries we would want leads from.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that this week about your client acquisition roadmaps. And I can give you some examples of that. Like, you know, Robin comes from manufacturing. He didn't want to do manufacturing at all. And what I said to him when he came in is, put some money on the board first from manufacturing and then move away. But if you're trying to reinvent yourself from day one, it's just a longer struggle. So why not hit your immediate, like yours is marketing, hit marketing agencies, because you know the lingo, right? You call a marketing manager who needs someone who's clearly advertising for a position. You can talk that lingo. If I call them, I'd be lost.
Yeah.
You know, so use that lingo, use it to your advantage, get some money on the board, and then go, okay, now I want to expand into whatever, you know.
Do you guys have a lot of retail type of things? Because I do have like a lot of retail management experience as well.
We've got some, not a lot. We've got some, but it's because we haven't chased it. I
Gotcha.
don't think we've got anyone chasing that. But I mean that's a huge industry, huge industry. Retail and restaurants, the restaurant business, high-end restaurant business, got someone chasing that. Like they're putting like chefs in there and what's the wine guys called? I always forget the
Servants,
yeah,
something like that.
putting those people in. They're earning $250,000 salaries, charging 25% fees. It's huge, just massive. And then you get heard by one restaurant, the next one calls, the next one calls, the next one calls. So we've had calls from Lubies, we've had calls from all sorts of industries, but there's only so much we can service. We have to say no to some, and
Gotcha.
but yeah, I mean it's a good problem to have, like I say.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we'll get into that. I think that's day 3 when we talk about your client acquisition. We'll do some whiteboarding and
Perfect.
talk you through that. Yeah.
Perfect.
Makes sense.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, let me know if you need anything, guys. It's been great. Been really good talking to you all. And same time, same place tomorrow, and we'll go through. It'll be a shorter session tomorrow. It's about pricing and margins and stuff. So we'll just kind of get the next stage done.
Sounds good.
All right. Have a great rest of your afternoon. You as well, Shakira.
Thank you. Talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Talk to you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.
Have a good one, guys.
Bye.